Hello, welcome, Michelle. It is so great to be here with you today.
Hi, Joe. Thank you for inviting me.
Um, so, I am here with Michelle Mendoza. She is an expert in the space of human resources and of helping executives, maybe just like some of you listening to this, find their next role. And I've known Michelle for years. So, I have to say, just coming from someone who has known Michelle, she knows so much about the job market, both as an expert herself and as someone who has managed a lot of processes for companies, who have advised them on their processes, how they hire, how they get good people. And so, what I love when I'm talking to her is that you get someone who knows both perspectives and really understands what it takes to succeed in the job market. So, when I was like, I have a lot of people asking me about switching careers these days, switching jobs, and knowing it's a really tough market. I wanted to invite Michelle, who is an amazing friend, an amazing colleague, and just knows a lot about it. So thank you so much for agreeing to be here again today.
Thanks, Joe, for inviting me. It's so much fun. This is the type of topic that I like to discuss. Having been on the HR advisory side as recruiter, both in big corporations and in the last 15 years, helping small to medium-sized companies, as well as also now expanding my services to include career coaching. It's so much fun to talk about how to help people find their dream jobs and jobs they really love to get up in the morning to go to work to.
Gosh, that sounds like music to, I bet, everyone's ears. Like, I want a job that I want to get up in the morning and go to work, doing.
It's the best. It's the best when I hear my clients say, "Oh my gosh, I love my new job, my new role, my team, my boss." It's the best type of news for me to hear for sure these days.
Awesome. Okay, so I want to dig in right in with like, what is the biggest misconceptions executives have about their job searches when they're starting out? And you and I, just as we were getting started, we were literally talking about someone who had come to you
Yep.
with one of these. So, but yeah, what are they?
Yeah, so it's this morning I had the honor of coaching two wonderful job seekers. And one of them in particular, that's what she was saying, I've been applying and it's like crickets, I don't know what's going on. And I think for me, the number one kind of mistake or misconception is that, oh, all I have to do is just apply to jobs. And especially if we're talking about leadership roles, you really have to expand beyond just applying to jobs on LinkedIn or Indeed or any of the other job boards or companies directly. And it's really thinking about it from three components, really building your brand around your expertise in your subject matter area, leveraging your network. Even though there's all these great tools out there that can help you get in front of recruiters, your network and being referred in is still one of the most effective ways to find an ideal job, not just a job. And then the last piece is really having a strong strategy around how you want to approach the job search. I think that's really, it has to be all encompassing, not just, I'm going to send 100 resumes out every day. That's not going to work.
Can you give us an example? Like, what do you mean by strategy? Like, what's a good strategy you've seen? Maybe what's a horrible, I guess a horrible strategy is sending out 100 resumes.
Yes, yes. So, as especially for business leaders, and I know that's your audience, I think you need to think of your job search as, and you yourself as your own brand, right? So, what does that mean? It's coming up with goals around how you want to tackle the job search strategy. So it's okay to apply to jobs, that should be a part of it, but it should also include things like, okay, I'm going to make a goal to talk to, 20 people this week in my network who might be able to help me better understand a certain industry or a job or how to get in front of a decision maker. It's also thinking about maybe attending events or conferences where, again, you can get in front of different audiences and really kind of put yourself out there as that subject matter expert. So that's what I'm talking about in terms of a strategy. So what is my goal around the job search? How many people do I want to connect with? How many jobs am I going to apply for? And then tracking it all, right? So that over time you can see what's working and what's not working and adjust.
That's amazing. And I just want to highlight that because I haven't heard so many people talk about the job search as a way to build a brand.
Mhm.
And I think that's so key. And I bet some executives who are listening to this are like, oh, that's what I do. I build brands. Oh, I get it. Boom. And I bet some executives who are listening to this being like, I never built a brand. Like I do the IT part or I'm over the engineering. We don't build brands in that way. And for them, it might be really foreign. So I get that this is like a new skill set that people might have to be learning along the way within their job search.
Yeah. And so I think the way to reframe it, if the word branding, so for our marketing, sales executives and leaders, right? They're going to love that concept. Maybe for those that's a little bit more foreign, it's thinking about building you as a subject matter expert. If I think about some of the leaders I've worked with that have like a PhD, that have built years and years of research, right? And writing papers and speaking in conferences, that's building a brand, right? As a subject matter expert. So it's just, taking the buzzword out brand and putting in whatever you feel you can wrap your mindset around you being an expert in something and being confident in going out there and representing yourself as that person, as that subject matter expert. So it definitely applies even in our more technical, for those technical leaders.
Okay, if I had one of those emojis here, I'd be like, "Ooh, mind blown." Like, I think this is like gold, people. If you're listening, and if you're by any chance stumbled upon this, who knows why, and you have zero desire to look for a new job at this point, I think Michelle is giving you amazing advice for what you need to be doing, even if you're not looking right now, which is how are
Absolutely.
you building either your brand in the marketplace, your subject matter expertise in the marketplace, but how are you building yourself really up as that thought leader that so when the jobs open up and people are thinking about who knows about this, your name comes to the top of the list. And then people are searching you out versus the other way around.
Absolutely. And I love that, Joe, because it's all about being proactive versus reactive.
Mm.
As we think about the job search too, I think especially for any audience member who may have recently been laid off, you feel so much like less empowered, right, around that decision. And as you're going through that transition, there is a grieving process that you have to go through, right, to make yourself feel more confident again. So how you can empower yourself back is by looking back and thinking, what did you accomplish? Where can I stand and feel really good about saying, yeah, I know that. I am a subject matter expert. I wrote those papers. I made, did those patents. And even if you didn't do any of those things, I was part of a team that, got to release this amazing new feature, product, or service, right, for a company, so that's what we're really talking about, is going back and really owning and re-empowering yourself with the skills and experiences, your whole skills and experiences from all the years that you've worked, and thinking about how you want to put that forward to the benefit of a new employer.
Okay, this is awesome. Thank you. And I think you sort of answered my next question, but is there anything you wanted to add about, what is the right mindset for executives to have as they're going into the job search? I mean, I definitely hear this branding strategy. Anything else that you wanted to add on that?
Yeah. And we also talked about, I love what you said about being proactive and staying strategic. I think the last piece around this is, using your influence. So engaging in your industry. Again, ideally, some people are better about, attending industry events and conferences while you're working. I know that sometimes can be very difficult, But especially if you are already in a transition period, that's a great way to re-engage with a network is through your associations and conferences and yeah, any of those events where you can be surrounded by the same subject matter experts. It's a nice, easy way to reconnect and again, show your influence, show your subject matter expertise. So I would say that would be like the last little, and also a great way to change your mind shift about where you are in your job search.
Yeah, I mean, there's something like sort of engaging with your industry to remind yourself, like, oh, yeah, I have value. I know a lot of these things. And you see a lot of other people, and you're like, they're newbies. They do not know what do know. They did not have the experience I've had. And so that you can go and sell that when it's your turn.
Yeah. And I think if you can, one last little thing around that, I think if you can find a
Please.
way to be on a panel or or be even better guest speaker, even if it's a virtual panel or guest speaker. I've had a couple clients that are more in the VP C-suite level, that's been a great way, again, to engage with an area and also show up as that subject matter expertise. Nope, we can't hear you, Joe.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. Gotta love live things. Someone called on my cell phone and it just literally took over all the sound.
Oh no.
Self do not disturb is a good thing. Okay, moving on. So we keep reading, and I'm sure, you even have an article about it, but that it's a really tough time out there in the job market,
Yeah.
and a lot of people are looking for a lot of different reasons. So, what are you seeing as a common time frame, in this competitive market?
Yeah. So I would say, for managers, directors, they're often looking at a 6 to 9 month window of a job search if they have a good strategy and stay really focused on maybe one type of industry or one type of job. That's really key to building momentum. I would say at the VP and C-suite level, it may take longer, could be over a year. And there are two kind of main reasons for that. One of them, and I wrote about it, is about the big job market freeze, right? Where a lot of people, because of the job market, aren't really wanting to move, even though they may be looking. Managers are not at a place right now where they feel they can grow their teams. So they're not really looking to add new headcount. And even if someone leaves, they're not necessarily at a place to kind of backfill because there's a lot of uncertainty in the market right now. So right now, things do feel kind of frozen. And that's why I'm hearing a lot from some of my clients that are coming to me saying, gosh, in the past, I could get a job within 1 to 3 months, right? 90 days seemed to be like the going time frame for most individuals, even at a very high level. And now it's just taking a lot longer because there's not that many openings and there's a lot more applicants looking as well.
Yeah. And I just want to double click on this point that you had, because I think I hear about it so much with so many of my clients, is just the uncertainty, like the uncertainty of like, are they going to get funding? Are they going to lose funding? The uncertainty, for universities and biotechs around, NIH grants and what percentage and all of those trickle down effects, and the uncertainty in the economy. How's the stock market going to do? What are tariffs going to do to us? And so there is just a lot of uncertainty in so many different arenas. And I think that's different from what people often see, where there's uncertainty in one thing. Like in 2024 was sort of like, who's going to be the president and what's going to be next.
Right.
But now in 2025, there's sort of uncertainty on so many different fronts.
Yeah, it's that wait and see mentality, right? wait and see. I better, and therefore you become much more conservative, right, in your decision making process, and it just take longer. So as you mentioned, I also do HR advisory, so I do have clients who are hiring, and they're just being a lot more cautious about the type of applicants that they want to see, and they're taking a lot longer to decide on who they want to hire, and they have the luxury now because there are so many great qualified applicants out there to really find the unicorn, right, for their teams. So yeah, it's that wait and
That
see. That's
that is
taking it.
such Okay, it reminds me a little bit of not having been on the apps myself for dating, but it reminds me a lot of what you hear about the apps is like you might
Yes,
meet someone good, but then you're like, but there's like thousands of people I haven't met. How do I know there's not someone better out there? And I should wait
so
and
true.
see. And
Yep.
so, the fact that it is really a hires market right now means that they might even be even more picky than they would be 6 months
A
ago.
100%, 100%. And there's not that pressure. So hiring managers, when it's a very hot job market, have a lot of pressure to make that offer and just accept, not just accept, but if they have a really good, if they have an applicant that has 80% of what they're looking for, great. They're going to make that offer and get them in, right? Because they're going to be worried that that applicant might also be looking at other employers and miss out, right? But in this job market, they can take their sweet old time and make sure they find the applicant that not only has what they're looking for, but also is in a price range that they're willing to pay as well. Because and we won't go into compensation today because that could take another hour. But, I think that's the other piece too. Employers are also looking at like, I don't necessarily have to pay that top dollar as much anymore, even at a higher level.
Yeah, and that reminds me of a question that actually someone just sent in, which
Oh,
is it worth it for someone to apply for a more junior position in the hope that it opens up conversations at a higher level?
no, I wouldn't waste your time. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, the recruiter and the hiring manager will see through that, and again, that goes back to you want to preserve your branding, you want to preserve your subject matter expertise, right? And you shouldn't have someone. So I belong to a wonderful group of other career coaches, and someone in the group chat, because we meet once a week, said something like, you want to be chased as the job seeker, even in this job market, right? And so you shouldn't have to chase or kind of pare yourself down, right, to a more junior role. It's not going to
Yes.
serve you well long term.
If we're going into the dating realm, you don't want to pretend to be someone you're not because that's not bode
Absolutely.
well for a long-term relationship.
It's so true.
Okay. And when should you be starting your job search? If you're working, if you're not working.
Yeah. So if you're working, I would say, and you suspect that maybe potentially your job could be going through, or your employer could be going through layoffs, you want to start your job search while you have a job. And even if you are laid off, a lot of times you're given a transition period before you're formally kind of off the payroll. I would say start as soon as possible. If you're already in a transition period, meaning you've already been laid off, or maybe you're just returning back to the workforce, because of the uncertainty, you feel like you have to go back in and you haven't done that for a while, I would say, start the process as soon as possible. But I think the key piece in either scenario is that you have that, going back to mindset, our last topic that we just discussed. Make sure that you are in a good place and that you've kind of grieved what you've had to grieve, kind of closed out the previous role. So you're not bringing that with you into that job search and into the new employer. You want to put your best foot forward and be as positive as possible. So that I think that's the most important part when launching your job search.
Great. I'm hearing a couple of important things. First of all, get over yourself and whatever happened, however you need to. Therapy,
Mhm,
coaching, lots of walks with
mhm.
your best friend.
Yeah.
Um,
Taking
find
time
advice.
off is okay. Taking time off is okay too, a couple weeks a month, whatever it takes. Yep.
Yep, take a little time off. But
Mhm.
like, what is it, that old Japanese proverb? The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. So start
Yeah.
your job search now. That's what I'm hearing. It doesn't matter when you want to get it, start it soon, like
Yes.
now.
Yes.
Okay, amazing. Um, so what are the best tips for getting execs out from behind their computer screen, where I know many of us are so much more comfortable, and
Yeah.
into in-person networking?
So I would say number one is to start in your comfort zone. So I suggest to all my clients, we do this exercise where I say, okay, list the top 20 most important people that you know. And that can include, past colleagues, people in your network, family, friends, the 20 people who would do anything for you and in terms of your job search. And once you have that list down, you could just start there, contacting them, going out to, walks, coffee, lunch, whatever it is to reconnect and let them know what is happening and what type of job or role that you're looking for, organization or team, etc. So I think that's number one, start where you're comfortable with those kind of 20 people. And then we already talked a little bit about, reconnecting with your industry, whether that's attending events, being part of panels, speaking, et cetera. Um, um, leveraging LinkedIn is a great tool. I mean, I use it all the time. I know you do as well. Most individuals are on LinkedIn. And so I think it's okay to go on LinkedIn and be on that tool, not just to apply for jobs, but it's really a great way to reconnect with people, see what your network is posting and not just a post, but really engage with it. I've had a really fun time with LinkedIn. I go in at least a couple times a week and just reconnect with people, send them direct messages and just see how they're doing. Great thing about LinkedIn, it tells you, when someone's been promoted, when someone's left a job and found a job, right? When they've done a cool new thing like being on a live, right? People post about that. So, just comment and re-engage. I think that's a great way to also reconnect on LinkedIn via
We'll
LinkedIn.
give them a little permission to be behind the computer screen,
Yes.
but
Yes.
not too
Yes.
much.
Use that as a great tool to, again, grow your network and reconnect with your network.
Okay. Any final tips that executives might appreciate?
Yeah, I think the last piece is to track your progress. We talked a little bit about that. So whether that's, putting things down on an Excel spreadsheet. I know there's many of you out there that are tech gurus. There's a lot of different apps. One app that is meant more for consultants or small businesses, but a lot of my job seeker clients use it and like it, is called Less Annoying CRM. And it's thank you for putting up there. It's a great way to again just look at your job search like you would be looking for a new client, right, or customer, and seeing how many people am I talking to, where am I in the process in terms of connecting with them or setting up a meeting or conversation, and helping you have a way to follow up in a way that's very authentic and timely. And then be able to, as you're tracking all that, at least once a week or a couple every other week, looking back to say, okay, what worked, what didn't work, where, which contact is giving me a lot of referrals into organizations, or at least referrals to the decision makers that can help you move your job search forward. And that's again, tracking is a great way to see how you're doing.
Perfect. And I love that you have like a little tip that people can use. Like, try the CRM tool.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, why not? Why not try
Yeah, organize
make
it
it a little
in
bit
a
more
way.
fun? Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that's another, I think, great tip for people to use.
So you have so much wisdom, so many great nuggets in just 25 minutes. Amazing. And so I'm curious if people want a guide during this process, how can they contact you directly?
Yeah, so I would love the opportunity if what you heard today is something that you want to get more information on. Is I do offer a free consultation for anyone interested in just getting more feedback on their job search. And you could do it one of two ways. One is through my Calendly, which is the direct link is on your screen, or you can send me an email at michelle@connect2hr.com. That's another way to book time with me. So yeah, I would love the opportunity to continue a conversation with anyone who found us today and see how I could help their job search.
Amazing. Well, I am the lucky one who has Michelle on my speed dial, so I can call her anytime I have a question. Not that I'm in a job search, but for other people I might know of who are in a job search. Cough, cough. Anyway, so my husband, anyone have a job? No, okay. We have fun together. Anyway, thank you so much, Michelle, for joining me for my LinkedIn Live, for being willing to be part of the experiment that is LinkedIn Lives and social media with me, and mostly just for sharing so much amazing wisdom with people today.
Thanks, Joe. It's been fun. I hope it helps one or two or more of you. Let us know if any of these tips were helpful to you. We'd love to hear. Get feedback is always good.
Perfect. And Michelle is like me on LinkedIn as well. I think she's and I will put some of these resources in the comments section as well if you're listening to this after the fact.
Awesome.
Okay, thanks everyone.
So, have a great one. Bye, everyone.